Paul McDade, an actor and editor working in the television and film industry here in Los Angeles.
And I'm Liz McDade, a huge Columbo fan and a small business owner living in Santa Cruz, California. And this is Trenchcoat Cigar Peugeot, Wandering with Columbo. In each episode, we'll bring you a little Hollywood history, glamour, and behind the scenes as we walk you through Columbo, one of America's greatest TV detective series. Woohoo! Today we're talking about Blueprint for Murder. This is from season 1.
Yeah.
It's episode 9 or episode 7/8 if you don't count the pilots. It aired February 9th, 1972. And we're having a little drink and a snack for each episode based on what their characters are eating in the show. And today's drink is bourbon, and the snack is sandwiches. So what do you got over there, Paul?
Well, actually, I got a scotch. It's Glenlivet.
Oh my gosh, you got the real deal. Nice. I got Four Roses bourbon. I don't know if you've had this before. It's really good.
Never heard of it. Oh, wow. Where's it from?
It's Kentucky bourbon. Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
Lawrenceburg, Kentucky.
Okay, yeah. That's where they make all the bourbon.
And then do you have a snack too, Paul?
Yes, I do. I made a sandwich with gluten-free bread, lettuce. I could have used veganese, but I don't think we had any. And I used a little ham. Nice,
Paul. That looks awesome.
What about you?
I just made bread and butter, and I ate most of it already. We have this really good bread from our friends, and I just wanted it.
Oh, who's your friends?
The friends that we visited in Sacramento.
Oh, okay.
They sent us home with a loaf of bread.
Awesome.
Homemade bread.
And it's just like a sourdough, or?
Really good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it's like a sourdough. And I put a little Earth Balance butter, vegan butter on it. It's good. So we'll get into the food moments as we go through the show. Should I give a quick summary?
Sure, yeah.
This is a story of a very visionary architect named Elliot Markham who wants to build a sort of a city called Williamson City using the funds of his client, Bo Williamson. But when Bo Williamson finds out about this very expensive, elaborate plan, he's super, super pissed and does not want it to happen. And so Markham, the architect, kills Williamson, but hides the body so that Markham can keep working on this project using Williamson's funds because nobody will know that he's dead. And Williamson's second wife is in approval of this city project, so she's on board with it. So as long as the wife thinks the husband is still alive, he can keep building this city. So that's sort of the summary and the plot line of this story. Did I leave anything out there, Paul?
No, that sounds about right, yeah.
Okay, so Columbo's coming for him right away. So the first scene is Bo Williamson driving in his car, kind of crazy, kind of like cutting across traffic and a little out of control, pulls up in his car to the architect's office, to Markham's office, and he's walking, through the building towards the office. But we don't see Bo. We just see like his point of view in the car, and we see his boots moving through the building until he gets to the secretary's office. And then she looks up, and that's when we finally see Bo for the first time. And I didn't know how, it seemed like a creative decision here. I didn't know how I felt about that, seeing the boots and, seeing his view out the car window.
Yeah.
What did you think of that, Paul?
Yeah, it was different. Like the fast car, going haphazard. And I liked that it was different. It's funny because stuff back then was not as fluid because they weren't using like a steady cam. So there's a lot of shakiness that you could get away with back then because you were used to that. Nowadays, they still do that, but they do a lot more steady cam movement, so it's smooth because the camera's like in a water thing, so it holds it really well. But I liked it. I think it didn't look good because I'm so used to seeing fluid stuff now where it's not all shaky and crazy. And
Yeah.
it seemed cut a little odd right there at the top of the car, if I remember right. So I liked that it was different, but also it seems sloppy. But I think it was just
Yeah.
how things kind of looked back then. So it's probably Peter Falk's
Yeah.
idea, though, right? Because he directed this one. This is the only one he directed.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking that as a newbie director, it's kind of an interesting choice to make. Like I would have thought that he would play it more safe with how he filmed it instead of like trying to be kind of radical with this this shot of the boots walking across the floor. But yeah, I don't know. It was kind of cool. It was definitely different. And Williamson's look is really cool. Like I like watching his boots because they are some cool cowboy boots. He's got an awesome cowboy hat on. He's got this cool like sport coat and little Western tie and a striped shirt. So yeah, his look is pretty cool. And the secretary, of course, so he barges into Elliot Markham's office to talk to Markham. He's pissed about Williamson City. The secretary also looks great. She's got this really groovy shirt on. It's like orange and brown and beige paisleys. And then she's got like a little brown vest and a matching brown skirt. So I thought she looked really sharp.
Yeah.
Very 70s.
Yeah, I loved his outfit. Yeah, he's a very interesting guy.
And this again is Burton Miller.
Oh, yeah, of course. There you go. Yeah, he had like the little tie, his shades. Yeah, he's very Stetson. I don't know what you say, but yeah, he's very, oil business guy, Texas tycoon or something.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good descriptor for him, a Texas tycoon. So the next scene is at the construction site. So Bo tries to find Markham at his office. Secretary's like, he's not here. And he barges in to double check, and he busts up the model of Williamson City because he's so mad. So the next scene, he's pulling up to the construction site where Markham is working on something else, another building, and he's super angry, driving crazy through the construction site. Oh, I don't know if you caught this, Paul, but you can see the car. It has these crazy silver, like, guns.
Yeah, it's weird.
Above the door handles. Did you see that?
Yeah, I just noticed it today.
And a giant horse on the...
Well, that one, the horse is really prominent. But yeah, the guns on the side, that probably cost a pretty penny, I guess, huh?
That's crazy. Yeah, they had to like weld that on somehow. But I was reading the IMDb trivia about this episode, how this is like, maybe you saw this too, Paul, that Peter Falk really wanted to direct an episode, and he was really pushing Williamson. Who were the creators, Paul? Levinson and Link?
Richard Levinson and William Link.
Yeah, right. So Peter Falk was apparently pressuring them to get an episode to direct, and they really didn't want to let him, but he kind of demanded it, and so they gave him this episode with the construction site, which was constantly changing because I guess it was actually like an active construction site at the time. So this was like a big challenge for Peter Falk to actually direct it because, you're outdoors on this crazy site, and it's not the most glamorous kind of filming location. Like, how do you make that? How do you keep the viewer really excited and interested in all of that? Like, it seemed like a big challenge to shoot at that site, but he did a good job, I thought.
Yeah. Yes, he's a very different director.
So Markham is at the construction site, and he's talking to, I guess it's like its right-hand guy named Carl. And this guy, Carl, is in a total of 13 Columbo episodes. In one of these small roles, like he'll play like a sergeant, or I can't remember what else, maybe like a bartender or something. But yeah, he's a regular Columbo extra. And Markham has more of a modern look to him.
He was in a lot of John Cassavetes films. Which, Peter Falk was in a lot of Cassavetes and was friends with Cassavetes. But yeah, 13 episodes. Wow.
It's impressive.
Another thing, John Finnegan was also in Rehearsal for Murder, which was a TV movie or a movie. I'm not sure either one of those, but written by Richard Levinson and William Link.
Oh, cool. Finnegan has been around the block. So Mr. Markham has kind of a cool look to him. I felt like they were trying to dress him maybe a little bit more modern and artistic. So he's a little bit clashy. Like his shirt doesn't perfectly match his tie, and he has like this really chunky wool tie on. So that seemed like maybe a deliberate decision by Burton Miller to make him a little more, artsy, I guess.
When he does the christening, I like what he's wearing then, but it definitely is clashy. But I was looking at it today. I thought he looked really good when they do the champagne thing.
Yeah. That's all I had to say on the clothes. I was going to say that, in this scene, Williamson and Markham have words. Williamson is clearly very upset about Markham using his money for this huge project. Markham tells him, you're going to be immortal. You do this project and you're going to be immortal. But Williamson doesn't care. He's like, I don't care about that. I just want my money. And Williamson gives Markham a little slap on the face, which was like, that was kind of wild, I thought.
Yeah, I love that. I don't think that was expected.
Yeah. And I got to say, I thought that the actor who played Markham was just really did a really good job in this episode.
Yeah, Patrick O'Neill, he's phenomenal, interesting, strong, sort of stern performer, but he's got a lot of internal stuff going on. He was in a couple of movies with Nick Nolte, New York movies. One's called Q&A by Sidney Lumet. He plays like this sort of corrupt police, higher up in the police department. And then he was in another New York movie with Nick Nolte, the Scorsese segment in New York Stories, and he played Nick Nolte's agent, like his art dealer. Nick Nolte plays a painter and he plays the dealer. That's the first time I remember seeing him, and I just thought he was so good in those two roles. But he's got a lot of great little moments in the film, just sort of subtle.
I'll have to rewatch that New York Stories. I remember Nick Nolte being the painter and really liking that story, but I don't remember Patrick O'Neill. So I'm curious to watch that again and see him.
Yeah, he might just have one scene, but I always remembered it because it was such a great. That's my favorite segment in that movie. I thought the movie was okay, but the Scorsese one was great. That's one of my favorite Scorsese movies. The writing, Richard Price. I think it's originally based on a Chekhov short story. But yeah, I love that one. But I always remember O'Neill. I always remember his voice. He's like, "Oh, you do this every time," telling Nick Nolte's getting cold feet to do his show. Yeah, it's just really cool.
He has a great voice, Patrick O'Neill. Really great voice.
Yes.
So the next scene, Markham goes to his office and he discovers that Williamson busted up his Williamson City model. He's in a little bit of a panic because he realizes Williamson's going to try to shut this whole thing down. And he really wants to get a hold of Mrs. Williamson because the two of them have been kind of excited about the work. He can't get a hold of Mrs. Williamson because she's at some retreat, like spa place where no one can get a hold of her. So this is when he kind of hatches this scheme in his head. He's like, okay, Bo can't get a hold of Jennifer. I can't get a hold of Jennifer. If I can just get rid of Bo, then we'll have the green light and it'll be all good.
What did you think of when he said, "Thanks, Miss Sherman, I love you"?
Yeah, that was kind of funny. It was a little out of character. What I would imagine is kind of out of character for him to say something like that. I thought she did a really good job, the person who played the secretary. I thought she was really good. She was very convincing. She had to go through a lot of different emotions, like excitement and then just a little bit of like shock and panic. And I thought she did a good job.
Like you said, he was in such a panic, and now he's so excited, like, oh, wait a minute. Now I can hatch this plan. So he's like, thank you very much. I love you.
So the next scene, we are at Williamson Ranch, and this was filmed at Hidden Valley. I don't know if you've ever been to this part of LA, but I did a tiny bit of a deep dive. I couldn't find the exact address for this, but Hidden Valley is an area near, like outside of LA, where there's a lot of horse ranches, and people like Tom Selleck and Britney Spears own homes in this area, and Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi, they used to own a horse ranch in that area too. So it's probably a pretty cool little area. And in this scene, Bo is watching one of his horses kind of run the racetrack with a person, a jockey or whatever on it, or a trainer. I don't know what the words are. But I wanted to point out that Bo's outfit is awesome.
Yeah.
He has this like white zip up jacket. It's so cool. This really wide collar. It's lined with all this like thick, curly sheepskin. And he had this big white belt tied around his waist. What he was wearing I think would still be considered very cool today. If I saw somebody wearing that on the streets, I'd be like, who is that person? They must be someone really special.
Yeah.
And so this is the scene where Markham is waiting for Bo to get Bo alone. And he's waiting in Bo's car, and he has a gun, and he makes Bo walk to an equipment shed. And we don't actually see the murder in this episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, me too. And there's country music playing in the car and in the whole background of this murder scene. And then the next scene, Markham is driving Bo's car back to Bo's house, and he's put on some classical music in the car. And again, the shot is sort of filmed like from the actor's perspective, like out the windshield, kind of like at the very beginning of the show. And Markham goes to Bo's house, packs his suitcase, and tries to make it look like Bo has gone on another trip. So he's sort of setting up this story that that everyone's gonna believe in his mind. And is there anything else you want to say about that scene, Paul?
I think having him time the horse I thought was interesting, but I almost felt like there needed to be more to this part of the story for showing that with the jockey. It seems out of place to me. Like it seems like I guess it's okay. You know, I wish you would. I don't think you have to come back to everything, but these are an hour and a half generally. I think the later ones were 2 hours, but I think you needed to maybe come back because it's just saying that he loves horses, right? Already know that, but I guess it does clarify a little bit. But it seemed like that scene was kind of long when he tells the guy, "Oh, you did really good. Wow, what a great time. I love this horse. Take care of that horse." It's just like a long little scene with this guy and his love for the horse, and that's part of his character. But it seems like you could have had something different there, maybe. You know, or somewhere else. You know, I'm not sure why you wanted to show the scene necessarily, other than that he has a joy for the horses, but maybe they wanted to just show that. Does that make sense to you? Did it feel okay to you?
Yeah, when you point it out, I see that it is kind of out of place a little bit. It doesn't go anywhere beyond this. So that's maybe like a little missed opportunity. But I think it did sort of show a little bit about his personality. You know, maybe it shows a little bit more of that he's like competitive and a cowboy, and I don't know. Well, the next scene, we're at the dedication ceremony at the construction site, and Markham is unveiling the design that's going to be put up. He gets a standing ovation. Columbo's trying to go talk to Mrs. Williamson, and the security guard stops Columbo. And I loved this little scene between Columbo and the security guard. I thought the security guard did an awesome job.
Yes. Yeah, that guy was fabulous. Yeah, he stole the scene.
He totally stole the scene.
That could have gone anywhere. And that actor just did so good.
Yeah. Did you look him up, Paul, that actor?
Yeah, so that was Nick Dennis, guard. He got the credit as guard. But yeah, no, he was great. He was so good. Yeah, he's Greek, and he speaks fluent Greek, or he did. He passed on, but he took that scene and he made it something awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really did. So Columbo gets through, and gets to the whole dedication ceremony, trying to find Mrs. Williamson. And I did want to say that Markham is describing his building as revolutionary, but it's like this giant rectangular building. It doesn't look revolutionary, but maybe there are more details that we don't quite get in the way this episode plays out and the way this scene plays out. But there are some really awesome outfits at this ceremony.
Well, I think you do hear him talking later. You could stay there even longer in terms of like you could do your office work, but maybe even live there. I think he's not quite clear, but he's telling some women. It's when Columbo walks up, he's describing that these offices can also maybe be rented out, that you'll want to be there more than just an office or something. And I guess it's the beginning of this city, that he's wanting to expand in that area. But yeah, no, it's a cube, a rectangle.
Well, we meet Mrs. Williamson here because Columbo's looking for her, and she looks amazing. She's wearing this large wool hat with like a big white bill and a gray top. So it's like this contrasting like opposites. So the white bill has gray polka dots and the gray top has white polka dots. It's just really, really beautiful. And then she's wearing a gray jumper with metal buttons. She looks great. And then in the background, there's a whole bunch of like mint green and lime green outfits and hard hats. And it's just like a visually interesting scene, I thought. And even Markham's tie is kind of groovy. It has like spots on it.
Yeah. Her outfit with the hat is really cool.
I was going to say that Mrs. Williamson, we meet her for the first time in this scene, and her acting, it just felt a little let down in her performance. What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, she was a little kind of, but I think she doesn't know how dark Elliot Markham is. And I just think she's just kind of bubbly but yeah, it felt okay. I think she could have been more in the forefront, but I kind of like Goldie Williamson. She steals it, right? She trumps her,
right,
in terms of performance, and her character's kind of like that, but she really nails it. So yeah, there's a big difference. I wanted to look up more of Pamela Austin stuff, but after watching the episode, I didn't feel like she did a lot of stuff, but I was like, Janis Paige. I watched a movie called Please Don't Eat the Daisies, and Goldie plays this sort of character that David Niven plays a theater critic, and David Niven becomes a famous theater critic. He becomes one of the elite. I guess he starts writing for a stronger newspaper, but he criticizes her performance, Goldie's, and Goldie tracks him down, and she plays this just like vivacious, funny, very similar to this role, but I'd say she does it even more in this role. She was known to have stolen scenes and always played it up really well for some of her roles. Some of her roles she was pigeonholed, but Pamela just kind of not as strong in terms of the Williamson wives.
And I wonder if part of that is how her character was written. Maybe she just didn't have a lot to work with to kind of bring her character to life in a more interesting way. Because she just comes across as kind of one-dimensional and not very interesting.
Yeah.
Basically. There's a couple other fun things from this scene. The food. The food is reminded me of the food from the art gallery scene in Suitable for Framing, where there's weird colors that we don't see in our food anymore, like this light pastel green and a red and brown and white, and it was on silver platters, but I had no idea what the actual food was. And then there was a champagne fountain, which Elliot and I were watching this scene together, and he was like, that is a coronavirus nightmare right there, that champagne fountain. I looked at these champagne fountains just briefly online. They're still around. You can still get a champagne fountain. It does cause the champagne to go flat in about 10 minutes. You can put punch or any beverage that you want in one of these things.
Are you guys going to get one?
I think we're going to install one in the kitchen. Just get tie it up to some Diet Coke.
The food that they have, it looks like it's in little cupcake holders. It looks like they're little hors d'oeuvres, but they're inside like a piece of paper or something. I looked at it again today, tried to paused it and then looked at it. Looked like something like that, could like a weird almond inside there. It was kind of like they looked like they were in sort of paper covering. You know how you can get like a little cake like that, like a pie, like a small little crust filled meat pie or something, that's small, like a baked. It looked like something like that. I think it was something like that. Not a gluten-free thing.
No, definitely not. Probably not vegan. Probably not vegetarian.
No.
All right, so let's move on to the next scene. Goldie. We meet Goldie, the first Mrs. Williamson. She's at her house. She's getting a massage from someone wearing bright yellow pants and a blouse with gold bamboo leaves over like a navy background. A really pretty outfit. And Goldie's bedroom is spectacular. It's like high ceilings, lots of columns, gold wallpaper, gold carpet, gold curtains around the bed, gold curtains around the doorways. And it's all these different shades of gold, but they all really go together.
Yeah. That is Midori. Her name was Midori, the actress who plays Miko. And she was Diane Midori Arimoto. And incidentally, she was in Hanged Up, this movie I wanted to watch, which was edited by Chris Kazalo, who is one of the editors on this episode.
Oh, cool.
And she was also in East of Krakatoa, which Bernard Kowalski directed, and he was one of the Columbo directors. He directed a couple of Columbos, I think. I know he directed at least one, but I think he did a couple. I've been wanting to watch more of Kowalski stuff, but yeah, that was Miko. And I love how Columbo said, sayonara, see.
I didn't catch that, but I love that. That's hilarious. I love how when Goldie tells her to say goodbye to Columbo, and I feel like I've noticed this in the Japanese language, that there's so many more words. The process of saying goodbye is not just like goodbye. It's all these. She said, like what she says is quite long. Like I imagine she's just saying many things. Like I don't know. It's fun. I love hearing that.
That would be good to get that translated because she did go on for a while.
Yeah, maybe somebody can send us the translation. Someone listening, send us the translation of that of that goodbye from Miko. Is that her name? Miko?
Yeah.
So Columbo shows up to chat with Goldie, and Goldie's like, I'm telling you, he's definitely gone. And he's like, well, we don't really have any proof of that yet. And then I think he gets a phone call in this scene about the car at the airport, maybe. I can't quite remember.
Yeah.
But he leaves Goldie's house, and then he goes to the airport.
He goes there, yeah.
Yeah. And they have found Bo's car. Zeroes in on the music right away. He's like checking out what stations Bo has programmed. He checks out all of Bo's cassette tapes. And he goes back to the radio station that it was on when they found it, which was the classical music that Markham had played. All the other cops are standing around like, why is this guy making us wait while he listens to music? But, Columbo's there. He's doing his Columbo thing. Yeah. And then, I don't know, was there anything else in that scene, Paul, that you wanted to talk about at Goldie's house or the airport?
I loved Goldie, Janis Paige. I just loved like she's like, turn around, Columbo, I'm going to corrupt you.
Yeah.
She said so many endearing kind of funny things like they're old pals or something. I just wonder if that was in the script. I mean, I don't know, but it was just great the way she did it and what she said and his reaction to that, kind of smiling, but then not, and then embarrassed and then the one at the airport. Yeah, it felt like, when he first went to pack the bags to make it look like he's going to the airport, when he gets out of the car, you can still hear the classical music playing in the background. Even when he walks up all the way to the door and he rings the doorbell. I remember being confused. I was like, where is that music coming from? Is it coming because he rings the doorbell to make sure no one's in the house so he can go upstairs and pack a suitcase to make it look like he went to the airport? to make it look like Bo Williamson went to the airport. But I heard the music outside the door, so I thought he heard music inside the house. But again, it was the attention to the viewer to pay attention to the music. It was a little overly pushed.
Yes.
Because I was like, I've never seen a scene where, first of all, you don't hear classical music too much. Maybe you do. Maybe there's other episodes where you do. But also just that it kept playing at a high volume while he's at the front door, which, we'll find out later. So
Right. That's a good point, Paul. So back at Bo's house, Goldie is wearing a gold dress with some awesome gold boots, and she's drinking whiskey with the other Mrs. Williamson, Jennifer, who's wearing an orange outfit. And Columbo's there talking about whether or not it's a big deal that Bo's car was at the airport. The young Mrs. Williamson thinks it's another sign that he's just left town. And the older Mrs. Williamson is still convinced that he's dead. He's about to miss an important cardiologist appointment, and she's worried about it. So then we're back at Mr. Markham's office. I just wanted to point out that the secretary's blouse buttons in the back, and I have no idea how you wear a shirt that buttons in the back.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't have anything like that, Liz?
No, nothing. All of my clothes are stretchy, just about.
Well, maybe you should design something like that.
I know. I should. So Columbo's there, and he wants to poke around Mr. Markham's office, and he sees that Markham clearly likes classical music, and the secretary spills the beans about the model of Williamson City and how Bo Williamson clearly destroyed it. So Columbo's starting to pick up, like, okay, there's something happening the day before he disappeared. Like, clearly something happened here. And so she tells him that she can catch Mr. Markham at a lecture that he's giving on pyramids. Anything else from that scene, Paul?
The scene where they were at the house together with the two, Jennifer and Goldie. I like the shot, the tracking shot behind the records. You maybe don't remember, but it's a shot where the camera goes behind the records moving. And that's something I have never seen in a Columbo that I remember. So I wondered if it was Peter Falk, just emphasizing the music again, or the camera operator, Lloyd Ahern Sr., if that's how you pronounce his name. Sorry if I butchered it. But yeah, it was an interesting take. It was like, I was like, okay, this is definitely Peter Falk, I think, or maybe Peter Falk letting the camera guy do something cool.
Yeah, I didn't notice that. That's cool. So now we're at the lecture hall where Markham is lecturing the students on the Egyptian pyramids and how, sometimes the engineers were buried in the pyramids. So and Columbo shows up in the background. And so this is like planting a seed in Columbo's mind here that people would be buried in their buildings. I kind of enjoyed this scene for a couple of reasons. The students are really dressy. They're wearing like sport jackets and ties, including one student's got like a pink sport coat and a light pink tie on, which I loved. I love that the lecture hall chairs have ashtrays on the back of them. So you could be like smoking your cigarette during class and like ashing your cigarette in the chair in front of you is crazy. It's very dated. We don't have that anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Columbo's eating a little box of raisins. It's like a little pink and red box of raisins, which I love. Oh, this was filmed at the California Institute of Technology in Pasadena, Paul.
Oh, cool. At Caltech?
Caltech. Is that near you guys at all?
Yeah, it's right down the street. That's where Einstein was when he came over from Germany or from Europe. He was there for just like a year or so. But that's where Hubble, was designed. Yeah, we've been over there. We have a couple friends that have worked over there. And Elliot went there.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. So I mean, he was with them and then with JPL. So yeah, your husband, Elliot.
Right, Elliot. Well, they also filmed some scenes from Legally Blonde Kiss the Girls, several episodes of Dynasty, and several episodes of Mission Impossible, the old TV show, were also filmed here at Caltech.
Oh, cool. Yeah, it's a really pretty place.
Yeah.
The halls and inside are gorgeous, old.
Yeah, it looks pretty. So the next scene, we're back at the construction site. Columbo's there, not wearing a safety hat. He really should be. And he's poking around asking a lot of questions about Beau's last visit. And he's chatting with Carl, played by John Finnegan. And, he's getting to the bottom of things it's becoming pretty clear to him, that Markham had a big motive for getting rid of Williamson. Anything to add, Paul, on these scenes before we go to the doctor's office?
Yeah, when they're at the school, the university or the lecture, Columbo asks him a question, and his reaction to Columbo is like, you already know the answer to the question you're asking me. Him saying that is so great. Like, his response to Columbo is so wonderful. It's like, I loved Patrick O'Neill's reaction was dead on. It's very much like Jack Cassidy did that a lot, very biting to Columbo when in Murder by the Book. But yeah, Patrick O'Neill offers it up right there. So I just love that. That was probably my favorite interaction between them in this episode. One of my favorites.
Yeah, he does a really good job as the villain. So the next scene is at Beau Williamson's cardiologist's office. Columbo wants to see if Beau's going to show up, and he wants to find out about this appointment that Beau had made. And there's a lot of cool shades of green in the doctor's office. Did you look up the actor who played the doctor, Paul?
Yes, I recognize this guy. Let's see, John Fiedler. Yeah, he's famous. He was in 12 Angry Men, The Odd Couple, True Grit. He played Piglet's voice for Winnie the Pooh. Just a wonderful actor, whether you want to call him character or whatever. He's just a good actor, very distinct. And it's almost like he's out of place. Because to me, he's so famous. I haven't seen a lot of the movies, but I think the sitcoms, whether it's Get Smart or Bewitched, or I don't know if those are sitcoms, but he's so well known to me, but not known. I didn't know him for Columbo. But yeah, he's great. Great voice, great sincerity.
Yeah, I wonder if it was like a cameo, if he was doing like a cameo for fun or something in this episode.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. I mean, it doesn't look like he ever turned down work. Like, he was in a movie called Midnight Madness, which was kind of like the Cannonball Run. That's not a well-known movie, I don't think, but I loved that movie as a kid. And he was in the Cannonball Run as a desk clerk. So I think he took anything that came his way. He's probably just loved, doing work.
Wow, very cool. Well, Columbo learns that this was a pretty important appointment. And I was curious about this sort of thing. So basically, Beau was supposed to get the batteries replaced for his pacemaker. And that is a procedure that you do need to get done. And it's only every 5 to 7 years. So that's a pretty big deal to not get your batteries replaced. And it is a surgery. It does have some risk. But if you don't get your batteries replaced, then your pacemaker might stop. So, and Goldie is at the doctor's office too, also wanting to see if Beau is going to show up. And she's wearing a shimmery blouse with a black vest and some really cool gold pants. I bet Burton Miller had a lot of fun dressing Goldie for this episode.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the tennis match, Paul?
Sure, yeah.
So this next scene, we get a little bit of a plot twist, right? So we had the mystery of Beau Williamson, but now we get a little plot twist. Markham and the young Mrs. Williamson are playing tennis together when she finds one of Beau's hats in the bushes with blood on it. And this obviously freaks her out. She's playing tennis, by the way, in basically like a bikini with a little a little ruffle around the waist. So she's clearly upset by the hat, and you can also see that Elliot Markham is a bit upset about the hat. And in the next scene, he's in his office, still upset, listening to classical music very loudly, drinking Glenlivet. Is this where he's drinking the Glenlivet, Paul?
If it is, I'm not sure because they never show the. I tried to look it up, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I spent maybe 10 minutes looking, trying to figure it out. My wife and I thought we thought maybe that one matched closer if the top of the bottle there kind of bends, like it goes out and then in, and it's dark green and it's red top, which Glenlivet was one that's kind of like that. So, but it has a specific back label we tried to look up. So, but I didn't spend too much time.
Yeah. Well, that you put in some good effort there.
Yeah, it seems like they would be drinking something like that in a fancy money. Bo Williamson would have some of that. Maybe he would have Jack Daniels though. Who can say?
Yeah. And just a little trivia from the IMDb page, the classical music that's playing in this scene is the second movement of Brahms' second piano concerto. It's the same piece that is playing in the car ride at the very beginning. And it's the same piece that's playing when Columbo listens to the radio at the airport in the parking lot. So all of the scenes with the classical music are playing the same piece of music. I wonder if that was a permissions thing, like they couldn't. It seems like all of these classical songs are in the public domain, but maybe they had to get like permission to play a certain piece and they could only get it for one song or something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that sounds about right.
So the next scene, so Markham is clearly upset at his office, and then in the next scene we are at Goldie's house, and she looks spectacular again. This white flouncy blouse with a big like floofy like front weird bow kind of thing, sheer sleeves, and a white and gold vest, matching super short shorts, gold high heel shoes, and some cute little short pigtails. She just looks amazing. And this sort of moves the plot along a bit where, Columbo, Markham is questioning her, and Columbo's pops in and says, Miko told me that you had a cut on your leg, and I looked up and you have the same blood type as Bo. So Columbo figures out that this is Goldie, the hat, the found hat is Goldie's attempt at, getting the police to believe her, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, if you notice, she has a cut on her arm.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. Band-Aid.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like, is that where the cut was?
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead about the will.
Oh, yeah. So we learn in this moment, about the will that if Williamson dies, his wife doesn't actually get a bunch of money. And so it's easier for the wife to spend Beau's money if he's alive versus if he passes away. And we learn that the first Mrs. Williamson would get a big chunk of money if he passes away as well. This kind of reminds me of the last episode, Paul, where the plot felt a little bit complicated in terms of like, is this blackmail real? Is this made up? But this episode had a similar feeling here where it's kind of confusing, like what's going on, where did this hat come from? Wait, you're saying that Goldie has a motive to kill Bo? And I don't know, it's a little bit, I don't know.
I thought it was easier to understand than the other one. It was more like a curve. It was a surprise, but it was also just kind of a curve, like a curveball.
Yeah. But it I feel like it's tricky with these. You only have a certain amount of time, right, to tell this whole story. And so sometimes when you have this curve that you have to just like do a scene where you like power through all these facts in this scene together. I don't know, it detracts a little bit from the storytelling. Like I think I would have preferred they just had a simpler storyline that they could develop a little bit more with, enriching details or whatever. But these scenes, it's like a little bit too fast paced. It's not your Columbo speed. It's like, we got to get all this information out in this 3-minute scene kind of.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing with making a good script, you want to take out those details of, I forget a term, Harrison Ford. I saw an interview with him from a while back where he called it speak talk or something. I forget what he said. You want to limit that as much as you can, or just get rid of it completely and show that. Show it if you need to. And he was talking about the movie Witness. And the movie Witness was written by 3 different people, and they won an Oscar for it. One of the writers who developed the story was William Kelly, who wrote this script. He wrote Blueprint for Murder. So William Kelly wrote this script, and he had developed the story for Witness, but he ended up having 2 other writers, a husband and wife team, who helped develop the story for Witness, which became, a really good movie. But if you watch that movie, it has a Western feel to it where it's like a showdown, kind of, Harrison Ford versus, but they go into, an Amish land in that film.
I love that film.
Yeah, he had that story. He had that story in How the West Was Won. It was called Mormon Story, where the main character goes into, I haven't actually watched it, but I was hearing about it. He had developed that story already, and then he developed it into a film. He updated it with his friend that he co-wrote Witness with. His friend was a detective reporter, Earl W. Wallace, and Pamela Wallace. So it was William Kelly, Pamela Wallace, Earl Wallace. They all wrote Witness. But Harrison Ford was saying when he gets a script, especially like Witness, if you watch Witness, it's mostly watching stuff happen. You're watching people do stuff, people react to things. So the explaining things is not what you want to have in a movie. And that's exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's something that we talk about. We read a lot of young adult books with the kids, or like children's literature with the kids. And some authors are so spectacular at showing you the story, and they never use cliches. They never, have to tell you, he got mad. They're always like showing you like his fists were clenched and he jammed his hands in his pockets or something. And so it's just like you can feel it
Exactly.
when the author knows how to really show what's happening, and they don't have to just tell you. And then sometimes we read these books that the kids like, that Elliot and I are like, oh God, this one, because the author just has to like tell you everything, and there's a lot of cliches, and it's like, whatever that word was that Harrison Ford came up with, where they're just constantly like explaining. And yeah, so that, I felt like that scene, there was a little bit of that going on. And if they had just left that whole plot twist out, we could have, had a little less of that.
Yeah, because it doesn't go very far. It takes you to the commercial, right? You see the blood on the hat, and they probably cut to a commercial, maybe, I can't remember, but that's it. It's like, and then you come back and it's all explained.
Yeah.
So like that, it's like, so then it's like a letdown, like, big deal.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like here's some fruit, but it's rotten.
Yeah, I like that. So we have a scene. We should mention it. It's another one of these kind of like moving the story along scenes, but it's back at the construction site. Columbo's talking to Carl again, played by Finnegan, and Columbo's understanding the building process. He's trying to figure out, is it possible that Markham put Mr. Bo Williamson's body in one of these pilings, which is like a giant chunk of concrete that's going to hold up a building. There's not a lot that happens there, but Markham pulls up and sees Columbo is there, still questioning. And Markham is driving a classic Mercedes-Benz. And I don't know if you recognized it, Paul, but apparently it was the same car that was used in Murder by the Book that was driven by Jack Cassidy.
I did not recognize the car.
So then after the construction site, we get to one of my favorite scenes of this episode, which is Columbo at the county or city permit office. And he's just kind of standing in lines for like 5 minutes. It's so slow. And it's one of the things I love about Columbo is you just kind of feel like you're there in a line, waiting on your permit. And I don't know. I kind of loved it.
Yeah, me too. I think it's one of the best scenes of the episode. The whole sequence of him being there. It's like several different scenes, waiting in line, the guy's on his lunch break, coming back. And the extras that they got for it are great. I mean, they're mostly Caucasian older guys, but there's some mix in there. But that's the times too. But sort of. But yeah, it was. I loved it. I loved that it took a while. They were just there. I don't see a lot of that in Columbo.
Well, I feel like there are episodes where you have more of those scenes where it's like he's walking up a staircase or, he's waiting for an elevator.
Okay.
It is something that I see in other Columbos too.
Okay.
And that I feel like I never see in today's TV or movie, like, and I just love the slowness of it.
Yeah.
I really appreciated it. And this is the scene where we see the guy's sandwich.
Yeah. And so like this is, to me, because we know Columbo, this helps develop, do you see who he is, more of who he is, as opposed to Bo Williamson watching the horse, right? You could say that that's similar, but Bo doesn't last very long. So, not a big deal. But here is funny. It's funny and it's fun. Like, even though it's kind of long, but it's just the awkwardness of these guys who all don't seem like necessarily like extras. So it's probably his direction maybe in their performance, but it's a really good part.
Yeah. Oh, I'm remembering an episode now. We haven't gotten to it yet, but it's from, there's a scene in a future episode called Exercise in Fatality. We haven't done that one, right? No, with the gym owner.
No.
So there's a scene where Columbo goes to a corporate office to get information about an employee, and he has to stand at the counter and wait while this really old 1970s computer printer prints out, some information. It's just like Columbo and the sounds of the printer kind of cranking in the background. And it's great. I love it. I mean, there's a little bit of dialogue, but it's very much like, oh, we're just going to watch Columbo stand and wait. And I just think, it's great. I don't know. One of the things I love about Columbo, for sure.
Yeah. Well, he gets really frustrated. He gets really tired. Like with this scene, he's like, well, I got to wait. I've been here all day, I got to wait.
Yeah. And another thing about this scene,
it's funny,
but I also felt like I could see a little bit of fatigue on Peter Falk's face. Like, I was wondering as I was watching this after I read that he directed it, I was wondering, like, how exhausting is that to be directing a show that you're also starring in? And can we see some of that strain on him? Because I felt like he seemed a little bit worn down, like he had just a little bit less pep in some of these scenes, especially these last scenes. I don't know. Did you see any of that, Paul, or is that just me?
Whether he was acting or not, he definitely seemed kind of tired. So I do know that some actors, Denzel Washington, I think, is a pretty good person who can direct and act in a movie. John Cassavetes, I think, is pretty good at acting and directing in a movie. But I know a lot of actors. I heard Patricia Arquette, she's in this show called Medium that's not on the air anymore, but she directed 1 or 2 episodes, maybe more. But that I think it was her that said it was hard for her. Maybe it wasn't her. I can't remember who. So some actress said that it was harder. But I could see where if I was acting, I'd really have to know all my stuff really well if I was going to also direct, because I would hate to have to keep flipping a switch to get into character and also notice what everybody else is doing. I certainly can't do that now unless I'm doing a one-man scene.
Yeah.
Let alone a big budget television show for Universal.
Yeah. in this scene, Columbo's getting all that paperwork because he's going to dig up an old piling, the one that was installed or poured the day after Williamson disappeared. So he's getting that permit so that he can go to the construction site, jackhammer this piling, and search for signs of Williamson. And so the next scene, so now he's got his permits, and the next scene, that's what's happening. He's back at the site, and this scene, it's very much like a toddler boy's like favorite show on YouTube or something, where you're just like, all these big equipment, all these big trucks are like digging and picking up the concrete, and the jackhammers are there, and they're trying to find, evidence of a body. And yeah, it's weird for a Columbo. It's a very weird scene just to have all that action happening. There's a construction worker working without a shirt on, which is like bananas to me, to see this guy in this like crazy, dangerous, heavy machinery place, and he's barely clothed. But I guess that was okay in the 70s. I don't know. But I don't know. What did you think of this scene, Paul?
I like the scene. I think I did watch this episode, but I didn't know what they were going to actually find. So it played tense, like I wasn't that tense, but Patrick O'Neill's character was pretty cool and calm. So I figured he doesn't have the body there. And so I thought it played pretty well. I think they could have tightened it, but I think him exhausting everything he could worked well for what Columbo really was doing. Right? So he's doing something, not what you think he's doing right now. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I could see that, for folks who haven't seen it before, that brings another level of interest to this scene. But there was one moment in particular that I felt was a little jarring, where the camera pans to different people's faces while they're wrapping this process up. So, or it doesn't pan, it cuts to like a shot of Goldie. It cuts to Columbo. It cuts to Elliot Markham. And so it's just like kind of a weird moment there. I don't think I ever noticed that when I've seen this episode in the past, but rewatching it this time, it felt a little jerky to me. I was like, oh, like we're looking at all these different people. Like it was kind of, I don't know, it's a little off.
Yeah. They had two different editors, Chris Caslow, sorry if I mispronounced your name, and Robert Kimball. I believe Kimball edited a lot of Columbos. Yeah, he edited 7 Columbos. And Chris, who seemed really interesting, he was an assistant editor, which I've been an assistant editor on multiple things, only a couple films or 3 films, but he was mostly an assistant editor, Chris Caslow. He got editing credit on Columbo and Hang Up, and that's it. He worked for some company here in Los Angeles, I don't know if they developed movies or what, but I wanted to reach out to him and find out more about his career. He was an assistant editor on Mandingo, some interesting movies from the 70s, Going Coconuts. But anyway, back to the scene. I think you had 2 different editors. So that could have come into play in terms of time. Maybe they're forced, because usually it's one editor, I think, from what I remember on Columbo. So maybe they were pressed for time. This is Peter's first film or first directing, so maybe he wanted some help, in creating this, and they got an extra hand. You didn't mention Goldie's outfit when she comes there.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's on my notes here. She looks amazing. She has like Wonder Woman boots on. They're like solid gold, knee-high boots with a chunky heel. She looks like a superhero in her shoes.
And the jacket, the red cape.
Yeah, she looks spectacular. She looks great. I love Goldie. Someone should go through this episode and just collect all the photos, all the outfits that Goldie wears. I mean, even when she's wearing her massage sheet, the sheet on the massage table, she looks great because she's got like a gold headband on. She's just great. Well, we're nearing the very end here. So Columbo has dug up this piling. The half-naked guy jackhammered it open. There's no sign of Williamson, not even a button. and Columbo feels pretty embarrassed. So then we get into the very end of this episode where Markham now feels like, okay, now I can safely move the body. He goes to the ranch to retrieve Beau's body, puts it in his trunk to bring it to its permanent hiding spot, and he gets a tire blowout on the road while he's driving, and a cop pulls up behind him, and he's like, okay, why don't you pop your trunk and I'll help you change your tire. And of course, the trunk is where Beau's body is. And so Markham is very smooth. He's like, oh, wouldn't you know it? My spare is out of air. I can't, it's useless. So the cop's like, well, I'll call you a tow truck. So the cop calls a tow truck and takes off. And Markham is free to change the tire. But I thought that this was a really good scene. They did a really good job of capturing the tension and the anxiety of oh my gosh, is he going to get caught with a body in his trunk, basically. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was really good. It really, all of a sudden, it changed things. And, I don't remember the endings. And I was like, oh, that's it. I was like, how can he get out of this?
Well, now you know how, Paul. Just tell the cop that your spare is out of air and he won't make you open your trunk. But you know what's so interesting is that when I watched this scene, I was totally taken back to Twin Peaks. And there is a very similar scene in Twin Peaks where a cop pulls over. Well, I don't want to give spoilers. If anyone hasn't seen Twin Peaks yet, you should watch it. It's amazing. But basically, a cop pulls someone over who also has a body in the trunk of their car, and they just barely get away with it. I don't know. Do you remember that scene at all, Paul?
I still haven't finished Twin Peaks, unfortunately. I love the writers and the directors, Tim Hunter, David Lynch, Mark Frost, Angelo Badalamenti. I just, for some reason, when I sit down, I've seen the first 5 episodes 3 times, but I want to see the whole thing, and I did see Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me, the movie, but I want to see the new season of Twin Peaks. So yeah, I think because it's a lot to watch, I think I always end up shelving it. I'm like, I'll get to that. I'll eventually get to it because other stuff comes up, like Columbo.
I was just going to say, it's an amazing series. You should watch it when you get the chance to see it. Twin Peaks, that was my favorite show in high school. Besides Columbo, Twin Peaks was my favorite show, and I watched it every time a new episode aired. That's it. So the very last scene, Markham's car is back in service, and he heads to the construction site to dump Williamson's body. And as soon as he gets to the construction site and pops his trunk, all these really large spotlights come on and catch him in the scene, and Columbo's there. And he's busted. He's so busted. And the last line is this, or I don't know if it's the last line, but Markham's like, how did you know? And Columbo says, Carnegie Hall and Nashville, they just don't mix. And Markham's like, yep, they don't, or something like that. I don't know. It's a good last line there.
Yeah, it's really good. And his reaction, Patrick O'Neill's reaction, getting in the car that he's just defeated, is so good. He does a really good job of defeat and just I can't do anything.
Yeah, he's like, get me out of here. Let's go. What were you going to say?
I know. I was saying he was in a movie called Castle Keep with Peter Falk. They played soldiers in World War II. This was it came out in 1969, so a couple years before this episode. And in that episode, Patrick O'Neill, he is also got his schooling in art history. And so Columbo plays this guy named Sergeant Rossi. And the lead of the film is Burt Lancaster, who plays this guy with a patch over his eye. It's based on a book by a guy who was actually in World War II. But they go to this castle where this French aristocrat lives and owns the castle with his sister. It's kind of confusing. It's a sort of anti-war, but also pro-war. It mixes, and it has very strange scenes in it. It's an entertaining film. I could see how people wouldn't like it. But in the movie, Patrick O'Neill tries to tell the soldiers, give them a history lesson, because the castle that they take over has artwork, modern artwork, famous modern artwork all over the place. So he tries to give them a talk about how great it is, and they all kind of make fun of him. So it's kind of interesting that he has sort of, in this episode, he is into these kinds of things as well. But I wondered if, Peter Falk, working with him, they shot that in Europe somewhere, Romania, or maybe I can't remember where exactly, but that's where, I wonder if that's where they met for the first time, because Patrick O'Neill's in a couple of episodes. But it was an interesting film, and I was like, I got to watch this film. Sidney Pollack directed it, and Lynn Stallmaster, the famous casting director who recently died, cast Bruce Dern, a lot of well-known actors you'd recognize. It was a very interesting film.
What's it called again, that film?
Castle Keep.
Well, should we move on to our overall rating of this episode, Paul?
Yeah.
I'll go first. I have to say that, a lot of what I love about Columbo is the really fun sets, like the fancy houses. So this episode definitely had less of that, a lot more like construction site filming and some office filming, and not as much of the fun glamour. But you've got Goldie, who was amazing, and her outfits were amazing. Markham, Patrick O'Neill, just did a spectacular job. I thought the secretary did a pretty good job. The security guard really steals that scene and brings like a really wonderfulness to this episode. And then you have those wonderful like scenes at City Hall. So it has some really good moments, but I would say overall this is one of my least favorite Columbos. I'd probably give it like a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10. How about you?
Yeah, I would give it the same. I like digging into everything within, but I still felt, Patrick O'Neill is always deflecting, and that's how a person would really react, right? So he played it more real than a lot of the roles. Like Jack Cassidy's great, but he does stuff that's just ridiculous, I think. Like suggesting, you should read my books, Columbo. They'll help you. They'll teach you a few things, But Patrick O'Neill is such a, two-faced, dark guy. He played it stealth, he was just quiet and, removed. I do think the music was a little, like I said, the classical music in the beginning was too much of a thing. It did feel a little uneven with Peter Falk and the camera guy trying out different stuff. I like that, but there wasn't enough battle of wits, so to speak. So yeah, maybe a 7. I think I would give it a 7. I liked seeing all the different actors. Like his Miss Sherman, his secretary Betty Ackerman. I thought she was really good, and the music seemed a little sparse besides the classical music. So yeah, about a 7.
Yeah, cool. Well, do you have a little quiz for me, Paul?
Yeah. I'm going to just give you a few here, okay? So you can just rip through them, okay? Patrick O'Neill and the security guard both worked closely with Tennessee Williams.
Oh, gosh. I'm going to say no.
Okay, the security guard is played by Nick Dennis. He was in Streetcar Named Desire, acting opposite Marlon Brando. And Tennessee Williams wrote the script, so maybe he didn't work closely with Tennessee Williams, but I'd say Tennessee Williams had to be on set at some point. But anyway, that security guard, Nick Dennis, he was in Spartacus, Stanley Kubrick directed. He was in another film by Elia Kazan, not Tennessee Williams, but East of Eden. And Patrick O'Neill worked closely with Tennessee Williams on Night of the Iguana. I think originally it was a 1-act, and it was off Broadway at first, I think. I heard an interview with Patrick O'Neill's wife, and he was so good in that role. Tennessee Williams gave him more stuff, gave it the play a bigger, I think he turned it into 2 or 3 acts. But when it went to Broadway, they wanted a big name, so they got Bette Davis. And Bette Davis, I think, was difficult to work with, and she wasn't as good as the other performers. She wasn't a theater. I don't know what was going on with her, but it sounded like it was not, they put her in that to get people in, right? Because she's a movie star. And she had done theater, I know, but okay, so the next one I'm going to say is Peter Falk owned a restaurant in New York City.
Oh, Paul. I'm going to say yes, he did. Am I right?
Maybe he did. I have no idea. But Patrick O'Neill owned a restaurant in New York City.
Oh, man. I always mess these.
No, you've got him right before. He was walking one morning, early in the morning, and they were, Lincoln Center was just being built, and it wasn't complete yet. And Patrick O'Neill and his wife lived in that area. And he said, why are there no restaurants around here? And he told his wife all about it. Why don't we have a restaurant? There's no restaurants around here. Why don't we start a restaurant? So he developed a restaurant named after the Ginger Man, called it the Ginger Man. There was a Ginger Man out here in LA for a while. And his brother, Patrick O'Neill's brother, ended up being like a really running the restaurant, didn't know what to do at that time in his life in the 60s. But his brother, who passed away recently, he was like a huge restaurateur person in New York for several years. The New York Times did a whole thing on him, on Patrick's brother.
Cool.
But that restaurant, the one that they first built, people like Leonard Bernstein would come over from Lincoln Center and have drinks there and eat. It was like an artist. It was the only restaurant in that area. Yeah. All right. So here's the last one. So Janis Paige did like one of the last things I think she did was a cabaret thing called, it was like an autobiographical cabaret thing. Her daughter did sort of like a performance thing as well. And but her and her daughter and I acted in 2 things together.
Oh, I'm going to say yes. Am I right?
No, I don't think she has any kids.
Oh, man. Oh, Paul, you got me again. That's good. No, that's good. Got me.
Yeah. Well, you've gotten some right. Sometimes you just hit them out of the park. I got to be real tricky with you, Liz. You got to ask more questions.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask more questions because usually my first guess is wrong. I need to just remember that.
I do want to say one thing that's kind of interesting is that, so remember how he smokes the cigars and he goes and the doctor says he shouldn't be doing this anymore? And he stamps it out at the end of the episode. Remember, he's going to take one?
Yeah.
So it's like a unhealthy thing. Well, in real life, Patrick O'Neill was an alcoholic, and he did some that's not the same as being addicted to cigarettes, but it's still an addiction. It just made me think because his wife, in the interview I listened to, his wife talked about that, and he struggled, but he did some AA PSAs when he was around. But yeah, he's such an interesting guy. Like I really liked learning about him, and I'd like to see more of his work. I would have loved to have seen his theater stuff. But just the cigarette thing was weird because he still smokes the cigars, though, right?
Yeah, there was no connection. I noticed that happen also, and there's no connection between that moment and anything in the future. He's right back to cigars in the next season. So I don't know. I have to say one more thing. I am really glad that we are done with season 1 because I feel like he really starts to get his stride. I was just going to pull up the episode list here. I feel like Columbo really starts to hit his stride in season 2 and season 3. They are some of my favorite. I think season 2 has some of my favorite episodes. So I'm excited for us to move into the next season of Columbo now that we're done with season 1.
Okay, cool. Oh, yeah, and the first one is Etude in Black. How do you pronounce that?
Yes. Yeah, I think you said it right. Etude in Black. No, actually, the first one is The Greenhouse Jungle, which is really good also.
They have it weird on IMDb.
Oh, okay. Well, we can figure it out and decide which one to do next. On Amazon Prime, it says Greenhouse Jungle is the first episode.
Okay. On here it says, okay, so let me know then which one you watch so I don't mess up my my notes.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you to Maxime Gervais for our theme song, Columbo.
Thank you. Thank you, Maxine. Thank you, Maxine.
If you'd like to add to our conversation, you can email us at trenchcoatcigar@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram at trenchcoatcigar. Paul, just one more thing.
What, Liz?
Thanks for listening.
Yay!
Colombo, French coat, cigare, là toujours. Colombo, oh mon beau Colombo, pas de gun, pas de look, what a look. Colombo, French coat, cigare, là toujours. Colombo, oh mon beau Colombo, pas de gun, pas de look, what a look. Passion meurtrière, folie passagère, rien à foutre devant l'expertise policière. T'avais un plan sans faille, pensez à chaque détail. L'inspecteur Colombo pensera toujours en dehors de la boîte.